share some astro info with you. I'm going to talk all about the full moon, the lunar eclipse that's happening this weekend. The sun is in Scorpio and the moon is in Taurus. So those are opposites on the wheel. Whenever full moons happen, they kind of illuminate the opposites that are the opposite themes that are being presented. So opposite themes are Scorpio and Taurus related. So that will have to do with Taurus is connected to what is tangible, what is practical, what is slow and steady, what we can perceive with our senses. That gives us a really strong sense of reality and what's real and what's real. And then Scorpio is on the other side, and that is depth and emotion and complexity. So there's a bit of an opposition happening between form and mystery, or tangible and what is beneath the surface, what's kind of hidden. So those are the opposites that are coming to light at this time of the year. I think that even if you don't believe in astrology, you don't subscribe to that, I think that's fine, but I think that it does present a really lovely way to contemplate all of the things that we need to be holistic and whole people. What stands out to me about this eclipse, this full moon, there's a lot that stands out. First of all, the sun and moon are not the only players that are activating the sky. Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn all have relationships to either the sun or the moon. So those planets bring their energies forth into this moon. Another thing that stands out about this moon is that it's the last in a series. So it's the last of the eclipses happening in Scorpio and Taurus. So let's look back over the years and days that this happened. The first one we had November 2021, then April 2022, May 2022, October 2022, November 2022, and May of 2023. So all of those dates, all of those times are connected by some common thread, probably having to do with Scorpio and Taurus related themes. Just the fact that it's the last one in a series really stands out to me, because usually things kind of fight on their way out. Things don't, especially Scorpio and Taurus, those are two fixed signs, so they have a lot of willpower to hold everything down as it is, as opposed to embracing change or welcoming change. So especially, I just think that the eclipses are a little erratic, they're a little fast-paced, they have to do with sudden beginnings and sudden endings. So with all of that, having this be the last one in a series, I think that we can just expect to experience things around control and maybe not wanting to let go, or not wanting to allow changes to happen in our lives. Examine those dates: November 2021, April 2022, May 2022, October 2022, November 2022, and then May 2023. Can you find a common thread that links those windows in time, especially as it relates to Taurus and Scorpio themes? Again, this is kind of it's values, individual or shared. Finances, again, individual or shared. Desire, sensation, and luxury. Complexities, mysteries, intangibles, things that are hidden beneath the surface. Can't quite see or touch, but they're definitely there. What we have, what we need, what we lack will all kind of be more prevalent. Emotional fulfillment from simple, tangible things. So just think about, over the past, since November 2021, how have these things surfaced in your life? Think about your values. Have they changed? Are they the same? Think about your finances. Have they changed, or are they the same? Think about your desires. Think about what you need, what you have, what you lack. Like, how has that kind of journeyed forth since November 2021? Coming back to the oppositional energy, the oppositional themes, can bring a little bit of conflict between form, Taurus, tangible, practical, and transformation, Scorpio, intangible, death and rebirth. Collecting, that's Taurus, that's collecting tangible things, collecting what we can see, touch, smell, taste, hear, feel. And then sharing, Scorpio, taking what's mine and kind of transmuting it into yours. This illuminates, the full moon illuminates the need to connect and enjoy the fruits of our labor, to connect with our desires, to connect with our desire to take care of ourselves, to provide for ourselves, to provide for our people. Think about how your interest in the tangible physical world and how it triggers your senses, your perceptions, which ultimately influences desire. Stubbornness or control related things could arise. When we feel things starting to change, a lot of times, a lot of us will tighten our grip. It feels very threatening, whether we're doing it consciously or subconsciously. If we notice things start to rearrange out here, even if it's things that we've asked for or prayed for, etc., it like elicits a panic response. We're like, I gotta hold everything where it is because that's safe. I know that territory. I can work with what I know. It's a lot scarier to think about working with what I don't know. So catch yourself if you are experiencing grip, buckling down, tightening down the hatches, wanting to really, really just be in control of everything that's around you. That can be so sneaky. We get really good at that. We get really good at witnessing discomfort that we're feeling on the inside and then making little shifts out here in order to pacify that tough experience that we're having. And again, a lot of us, we don't even think about it. We think we're just going about our day, or we're just doing what's necessary to get on with our day. And I'm not asking you to make any big changes. I'm just asking you to notice if you're doing this over the next couple days, and just be curious about it. Especially if there are things that you're working toward, or things that you've been praying for, or things that you've been asking for. If those things are different than what you currently have, then a piece of the puzzle has to shift somehow. So if we are acutely aware of things changing, and we do everything in our power to halt that process, then we can't really welcome in the prayers that we've been praying for or the goals that we've been working towards. I don't think it works that way. So if you've been asking for something different, something has to give, something has to change, something has to phase its way out. So loosen your grip a little bit. Trust the universe, trust yourself, trust the timing of everything. I think when we think about challenging times of our lives, we can recognize how important that was to get through it, or to get to the other side, or get what we're asking for. Let me see. This final push, final nudge, it's the last one in the series. It's the final curveball to examine and make changes in Scorpio and Taurus related areas of our life. We typically miss these lessons because of that desire to stay comfortable, or desire to keep everything just as it is. So if you have been actively shoving those things under the rug, or actively rearranging everything out here in order to feel better on the inside, then there might be one final curveball for you to kind of make a different decision, or do something different to get a different result. When we notice we're feeling something undesirable, and again, I'm going to just re-emphasize, a lot of times we don't even recognize we're doing this. We call people out that are in our lives and say, hey, that makes me feel like this, and we force them to be different. There are times when that is appropriate, but most of the time, That's not a genuine self-soothing. That's not a genuine, it's like putting a band-aid on an aneurysm and being like, well, that should be good for now. We can't rely on external, we can't just quiet the external in order to feel better on the inside. It's a false sense of better. We request that people stop, we modify our schedules, we terminate relationships, we ghost people, we disappear, we put ourselves in different situations. So just notice if you get uncomfortable and if your first thought is to do something out here to deal with that discomfort. We're really good at rationalizing or justifying our perspective, and then sometimes we'll even like swing really hard in the other direction if we notice that like something is off, like really far. And if you've ever ridden a bicycle and accidentally gotten yourself off, like that can be really dangerous if we're just like flinging our bike from side to side. So watch for that. Watch for things around control where we try really hard to control everything in our environment so we can feel better on the inside. I think that when we do that, we just invite those lessons to keep coming back. We like train the universe. We tell God that like we must have chaos in order to make a change. When if you want that, fine, but I don't. So I'm trying to practice awareness so I can notice when I'm rearranging outside in order to feel better on the inside. Now, let's talk a little bit about the rest of the players in the sky. Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Because of where everyone is, all of these planetary bodies and their planetary energies, Mercury and Mars are very close together. It's called a conjunction. This makes our minds really active. It like takes a little dropper of the warrior and drops it in our mental body. So that's, I mean, everything has a perk and a pitfall. That can give us a really fighting spirit. It can make us happy, mentally a driving force, mentally hot, mentally quick, mentally impulsive. On the other extreme, we can use our words to really hurt people. We can use our words to cut people down to shreds. We can use our words to burn people down. We can use our words to burn bridges. So check in with your dialogue, whether it's internal or it's what you're saying to people, and just double check that your message, what you're delivering, is true, helpful, kind, and that what you're expressing is going to be more on the empowering side or the inspiring side instead of just cutting people down. Jupiter is close to the moon. It's opposite Mercury and Mars, so this tends to open up our mind a little bit, have a broader view, a bigger picture. It can also tend towards exaggeration, blowing things out of proportion, dramatic news, that kind of thing. With Jupiter playing into this, it is a little bit easier for us along the same line of exaggeration. It's a little bit easier to exaggerate within ourselves, like what our resources actually are, or we may exaggerate what we actually have to give to people, whether it's time, whether it's tangible resources, whether it's like money kind of resources. So just question yourself. If you are offering to give something away to someone, time, resources, energy, make sure that you have it to begin with. That we're not just overcommitting, overextending, overjudging what we have to offer. Finally, not finally, that was a lie. The way Saturn factors into this equation, it gives us a stronger likelihood of turning things around and making things work for us. So if we're getting curveballs, if we're getting the tough lessons, if we're feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated with all this energy, know that number one, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And number two, whatever, like that, just that alone, it's happening for you. Like, just imagine that the universe is handing you the tools, lessons, etc. you need on a silver platter. Like, it's not a personal thing. It's just what you need. So tap into some resiliency, find the fighting spirit within yourself, and remember that when you come up to an obstacle, there's more to do than just like stand and look at the obstacle. There's, we can problem solve, we can take it and shape it and twist it into something that we can actually build a foundation upon. Let's look at the big spectrum with all of this information. I don't like to put things into pockets of good and bad or positive, negative. I like to look at things as spectrums because I just think that makes more sense. So on one end, we'll say one extreme, we'll feel like fighting, like resisting, like hurting others with our words or actions, burning bridges, cutting people down, allowing quick fuse to overcome or dictate your actions, overly pursuing, like overly masculine. So this is when we get a little bit militant. It's when we get a little bit dominant over people. It's when we're like ruthless and just don't consider anyone else. We're just pursuing. Then the other side, the other extreme, overestimating, overgiving, overcommitting, overindulging, only focused on what feels good, oversharing resources, overly receptive. So just like not taking anything with a grain of salt, just believing things at face value, like just whatever comes to you, you're like, yes. We want to find middle ground. We don't want to be so militantly pursuant that we're hurting people, we're hurting ourselves, etc. And we don't want to be so overly lax that we're just, Oprah giving all of our hard work away. We want to find the middle. We want to find a fighting spirit that is compassionate. We want to have epiphanies around lack mentality and where this is coming from. How does that factor into the way you pursue things? Awareness of needs, wants, desires, without letting these things pull us from center, without letting needs, wants, desires pull us to one end of the extreme spectrum that we just talked about. I think that's all. That's a lot longer than I intended, but I hope that you have a lovely lunar eclipse full moon this weekend, and if you have any questions, comments, just drop it